People of the internet, today we dive deeper into the Comedy Wars as we hear more from Stavros as he exposes Austin and the Rogansphere once again. Let's see what he has to say.
This is the part of the interview where we talk about that.
Sure.
It's about a year since the idea of the Joe Rogan of the left was discussed about.
Yeah.
Here we go.
But I promise we're going to talk about it so good
Sure.
you'll never have to talk about it again, or you'll have to talk about it nonstop.
Yeah.
But
Basically, he's like, give me the tea. I'm using that word. You know, I didn't know what it is, but if we got to use it in this day and age, I'm putting it into my vocabulary now. So let's get on with the tea.
what does it mean to you, or just mean that your name is a name that is thrown around?
What it means to me is that, man, we're fucked. If they're coming to me, if they're even sniffing around over here, it's like, really, we need some more culture, the culture, we need some more cultural figures on the left. Or what it really means is like, journalism is broken down in a way in this country that's pathetic, you know what I mean? Because everything is for profit, and there's more and more powerful people are buying our, newspaper. I mean, you see it with Bezos buying, the Post, and like, it shouldn't fall to comedians to have to make to say what the fuck they think. And I also think part of it is because comedians have boosted some right voices. It's sort of like unimaginative thinking to be like, well, we need our own comedians to do it. And look, do I feel a little pressure to be a little more clear about where I stand on things? I do, but I just can't philosophically, like, I can't lead with that.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's where I am in my career. I haven't dedicated my life to thinking about these issues deeply. Like I said, you can be stupid and know we're getting fucked. I'll tell you that, and I'll say,
isn't it nice to hear that a guy that is climbing fame right now is willing to say, like, I'm just going to leave the politics alone? Isn't that nice? Oh, it's so refreshing. And to admit that he has no place in that world. It's just so good to hear that, because that's the problem with these comedians in the Rogan sphere, is they're just throwing their self into shit that's really fragile and sensitive and has to deal with people's lives. And then to sway or push an agenda or be a puppet for propaganda for one of those things, what are you doing? That's a dangerous game, and you should not be involved. It just has terrible consequences.
stop, like, I'll say, get the ruling class's dick out of your mouth and just admit it's not immigrants and trans people that are the reason your life's bad. It's because there's tax cuts going to the 0.001%. It's because of inequality. I can say that, and I think that's true overall, but I did go to school for, like, public policy. But when I was 20, I decided I'm going to stop learning. And I'm going to learn how to talk about my little dick for a living. And you want a guy who did that, who left academia and spent 10 years fucked up, got on podcasts, and my skill set is, like, making fun of people and, like, making vulgar jokes and being quick at riffing. There are guys who stayed in academia. There are guys.
Do you notice Stavros is very tactical, right? Because by calling himself a comedian and then saying that as a comedian he's too dumb and he tells vulgar jokes and blah blah blah, he's basically saying all the other comedians that are doing this shit are dumb. I love that. You know, I mean, he walks a very fine line right down the middle, but he does it with such grace and poise. You gotta like that about Stavros. He's becoming a man of the people. You know, he's becoming a man of the people. Now, is that set up for success? Or is that set up for failure? I don't know. It's his future decisions will determine that. But, you know, this is where Stavros is going. People, you know, it could be a curse or it could be a blessing. But Stavros might just be the next man of the people in the comedy world. He's setting himself up. It'd be crazy if Stavros had planned and orchestrated this like 10 years ago. Joe Rogan like slided him. And he's all, you know what I'll do to get you back? One day you'll have a podcast that's the biggest in the world. And people will call you the man of the people. And he just plans it all out from there. And at the end, anyways, I think it would be cool. There's some people that will get you that way.
You kept reading. And I can't even say that I don't think at some point in my life I'll sort of return to that, because I am passionate about that. Yeah. And the way I look at it is I want to do it on a community level first. I grew up in Baltimore. We didn't have a lot. I do want to help kids in Baltimore. Like, this stuff I've been kind of thinking about is like art programs. I was in some art programs that really helped me growing up. And I think, but it's got to start that way, where it's like, I look at the arc of my life as like, I got educated. I had some beliefs. I got educated. I realized what I wanted to do had nothing to do with my education, but it's still kind of like, it's sort of like, clarified what I think about the world, what I want to happen, how I want people to be treated on a base level. And now I'm in the period of my life where it's like, okay, but I have a career to do. Yeah, my goals are artistic. I decided I don't care about the world as much as I care about having a good time. And that's the thing about
Amen. You know why that is? Because once you start caring about the world and you see how fucked up it is, and that you can't change a goddamn thing, and it is just a corruption wheel going 1,000 miles an hour, and you decide, I'm just gonna have a good time while I'm here. I'm gonna make the most of it, be around the people I care about. That's what the animals do. They just stay with their loved ones. They don't fuck with nothing else. They just stay with their loved one. Maybe that's what we gotta do. Maybe we just got to keep little small circles, and maybe we all make truces not to fuck with the circles, right? And then we can trade, and then the world gets created. It's impossible, folks. This is just how it is, man. Because once you start trading with people, bro, that's when the drama's going to kick in. But I have to say, I think Stavi has embraced this life, because he's straight up just wearing a tracksuit, zip down, mid-riff right there, with a gold chain. You see he's on cruise control. Dude, imagine. I could never imagine wearing a tracksuit. I just could. Maybe, what's with the tracksuits? Honestly, anybody in the comments, could you please tell me the theory behind tracksuits like this? Like silk and velvet and all the crazy ones they have. What is the reasoning behind this?
It's like, I'm not a fucking social worker. In fact, I was a tutor in Baltimore City, and I quit because I was like, I can't phone it in. When I phone it in, kids get fucked, right? Like, these kids are behind because I'm hungover because I was at an open mic too late.
Yeah.
I'll be a paralegal and phone it in because fuck these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's the other thing, is like, comedians are selfish. Comedians decided, like, we want a fucking good time and have a nice, easy way through life. And I don't think it's that hard to do, to be honest with you. Like, I think the average person, if they just said, I'm going to take 15 years to be passable at stand-up comedy, they probably could. It's just a weird life that no one should sign up for unless you're mentally ill in a very specific way.
This goes against the Joe Rogan theory. Here we have Stavros admitting that comedy is easy, and anybody, if they just dedicated themselves for a few years, that's, to go from beginner, right, to like getting work, making money. It does take years. It's just that Joe Rogan wanted to sell you comedy like it was P90X, right? You could just buy it. And it's a 10-year plan, and you got to do a special every 2 years, and you got to have a song in the green room, See, here's what Stavros is doing as well. By being completely roasting himself, he's putting this message out like, look, guys, comedy is not too hard. Those people in the Rogansphere, they are taking themselves way too seriously and thinking they're bigger than they actually are. I'm just a dumb guy that wanted to be lazy, and so I did comedy because that's basically what you can do in comedy. That's what he said, and it totally goes against Joe Rogan's like, there's only 250 assassins. Comedy's so hard. You got to do this before you can be great. I mean, I hope you guys are seeing this. It's pretty awesome. You know, it's just another lie exposed by Stavros of the Rogansphere. They're selling you this lie. Like, and here's the thing I don't understand. They all act like it's so hard, but each one of those, like, they're all fuck ups and they're all just like bad people. And they're uber successful. How could it be this thing that is just like so crazy hard? It seems like the Rogansphere all happened because Joe Rogan got that initial deal from Viacom, Disney, whatever, right? And from there, he just like pulled each one of his friends out of the gutter, and it was more like a behind the scenes business deal. It wasn't based on their talent. And he just brought all his cronies and made them famous. Just because it's what we like to call networking, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. Because I think comedy can be subjective. But I think Stavros, if I really look at Stavros, and I haven't seen, but just like even watching some of his crowd work stuff, Stavros is a comedian, right? For me, he has what it takes to be a comedian. And we could agree that he could be better, or he could be where you could think he's terrible, or you could think he's really great now. But I think Stavros, in the end, will come out to be a really good comedian in the end, because I feel like he has what it takes. I don't share the theory that everybody could be comedians. I think some people have it, right? And some people don't. For me, at least for me, there's just the thing about a comedian. The way he character himself, like not taking things so seriously, finding like just, I don't know how to explain it, but like an aura. And not everybody has that. I think some people are just born with gifts. And I think if I think about comedians, I think Stavros has the look for a comedian, right? There's many types of look, but when you see Stavros, you're like, that guy's telling jokes. You know? And people will argue, well, no, anybody can be a comedian. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Can everybody sing? Can everybody naturally draw really well? Can everybody be a top athlete? So why is it like for comedians, you know, like all these people fit the criteria? And I don't really think anybody in the Rogansphere does. Maybe Joey Diaz as far as his look and like the little craziness, but he's not funny. Anyways, that's my thought on comedians. It's not like there's this hierarchy. I just ultimately think like some people are blessed with that presence on stage and that ability to see the world that translates to making people laugh. Some people just have it. Just like some people are athletes. I mean, you get the point, right? That's my theory on it. I'm not trying to be elitist, but I personally don't think everybody has it. And Stavros thinks that most people could do it. I think, but it's like everything. Anybody could be a mediocre comedian, even with like drawing. Like I'm not great at drawing, but then I see these whatchamacallit, these YouTube tutorials on anybody can draw. And I'm sure to some extent I could follow some patterns, but could I naturally make those lines out of my head? You know? No. Anyways, just a thought.
So I am not that guy, right? I'm not interested in that. If I represent something to you as, like I said, like a dirtbag can still have your like beliefs, and you want to watch me because of that, great, but don't. I'm not a political comic. I'll never be a political comic. I don't want to be a political commentator. You know what I mean? Like, if things come up off the cuff, because that's what podcasting is guys talking shit about things they don't know that much about, I'll give you my opinion real fast, and then we'll move on and, you know, make fun of one of my callers for wanting to cheat on his wife or whatever. You know,
it's like, I fully believe you, but there is something about a person denying it that your brain goes, but then I got that call.
Well, in another way, one thing that I don't appreciate, like I said about, I do think people are kind of self-aware too much, and they think about their careers too much. And cynically, I think it would be really good for my career if I brushed up on a little fucking policy, right? Like if I got a couple statistics together and I like went on some news shows and I like debated people, because by the way, comic.
Stavi's good, man. Calling out more people. He is just poking the bear, but the bear thinks Stavi's nice, so he don't do nothing. That's what I get. You know those people that everybody likes. I always point them out. Stavi's probably one of those. He's like Shane Gillis. Him. And look, they're the best ones at comedy. Because usually those people don't take themselves too seriously and have good intuition about people and how to interact with them. That they probably make really good jokes because they're so aware of how to interact with people in a way that it's mostly pleasing. Man. Dude, I'm telling you, that is the ultimate good. Like, that is the ultimate, you know, gift you could get as a human, besides being tall. I think that and being tall. Yeah, because there's something that breaks down a man when he's not tall. It just is. It's not being mean. It's just like, if you didn't know, that's one of the worst insults you can call a short man short. It burns to his core. I've said it before. But you know, on the other hand, I know, I'm seriously not making it. It really is. But on the other hand, you know what the other big insult to a man is? That is not that guy that everybody likes. Calling him like a dick or an asshole or just like a mean person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not likable. Just some form of saying they're not likable. That really hurts a person like that too, because just like short men want to be tall, unlikable men want to be liked. Damn, y'all didn't come for a philosophy lesson. But if I had to label one today that you just attended, that right there. Oh my God.
I wouldn't be nervous on fucking CNN. I don't give a fuck about CNN, right?
Yeah.
I am more entertaining and funnier than these people. And if I and they're not that fucking smart, right? Like if I studied for a month, I could do this thing and I think it would be really good for my career. But I despise that. I think like careerist climbing bullshit. Like I didn't start doing comedy to get successful. I would have had a real job.
Yeah.
I really thought I wasn't going to be like, I thought maybe I'll be a headliner that I just love doing it, right? I never wanted to sort of like, if I was doing the smart thing, it wouldn't be this, right?
Yeah.
And so I think my goal is to be as good at stand-up as I possibly can. And like, you know, now act a little bit and be funny. My goal is to be funny in different ways, right? And to create stuff. And I don't like how, it is like a capitalist thinking where it's like, you got to get as rich as possible. You got to get as famous as possible. You have to do the thing that would get people, that'll get you more followers, that'll get you write-ups. You have to do those things. And I don't like either, even though it's like the beliefs I actually have. It's like the way guys were having Trump on their podcast. I just thought that sucked. Even if you like the guy, right? Which I don't. That sucks.
Yeah.
You're not fucking smart enough to have, like a real journalist should be interviewing him. You're doing it because it's clicks, right? Because it's like, and because some comedians have deluded themselves into thinking we're important. Once you think
You know, the way he is doing this, exposing the Rogansphere, first off by calling them dumb and they shouldn't be taken seriously, and now he's addressing them directly, and he says they're dumb again for having him on, that you have no place in doing that. You know, I think so too. Having the president on, you know it's serious when there's a Secret Service bodyguard whole shindig showing up to your podcast studio. They're doing background checks on you for like months in advance. They're sweeping and clearing your building. In fact, it's probably not even going to be in the building that you own. It's going to be in a building that they have secured, right? You know? Do you want to fuck with that shit? It's like yesterday, both Andrew Schultz and Akash saying, well, you know, Saudi Arabia, they sent us a contract, and I said, shit, I don't need to read that. I don't need to read that. You know why? Because I trust you, brother. You know what, Saudi Arabia, you go ahead. Give me a pen right meow. Give me a pen right meow. I'm going to sign that shit. It's all good, baby, baby. If you don't know, now you know what's up, Saudi Arabia. I don't know what's going on. Isn't that crazy? I was really thinking about that Saudi Arabia. You know, to be honest, I was going to extend that even longer than the probably painful extension that I did. But, you know, it was so much fun. I was liking how I was talking right there. That was a lot of fun, I got to say. Let's see this YouTube shit. Interesting, huh?
you're important, you're not. It's pull the handbrake. You're not fucking funny anymore.
Yeah.
Woo!
And
Did he just say they're not funny? Stavros. We all know in the Rogansphere King James Version edition of their faith book, Roganism, the book of Roganism, we all know that the number one commandment in the book of Rogan is, thou shalt not ever say anyone in the Rogansphere is not funny. And Stavros just did. Do we need to go out and treat ourselves to the fancy Chinese restaurant tonight? You know, get the duck. Damn, dude. If you can find a good Chinese place that serves that duck with that crispy duck, that whatever kind of, man, is it like panko or something? They get it all extra crispy and then they slice it up into those little, man. Dude, that shit is so good. I really like Chinese food. They got something going on over there that just makes it taste good. I even tasted it. I even tasted Chinese food in Asia. And it was good. It was way better than Japanese food. Japanese food was a little intense for me. At least you know Japanese sushi and American sushi are completely different. Over in Japan, they have standards for their seafood. I swear, dude, you get sushi there, that thing got pulled out of the water. They got a hole in the floor and they fish that shit out. It's crazy. And you're eating things you never even heard of. You're eating things just like urchins and things that are on the floor down there that you have no idea what they are. Chinese food was good, though. I did. Oh, man. I was even eating Chinese food in Japan because I was like, it was a little too much for me, is like the fishiness at breakfast with some eggs. It's like, yo, it's too early for that. Don't be putting that shit near my eggs, okay? Y'all don't have no like pancakes or bacon or burritos, breakfast burritos? You don't have no breakfast burritos? You got this urchin? Shit. I just woke up.
I just don't want to do anything because it's the right career move or it'll get me more famous or it'll get me something like that. I just want to do stuff to be funny, you know? And if you think I'm funny, you don't think I'm funny, that's Totally fine if you don't think I'm
Yep.
like, my goals are artistic, as dumb as it sounds, where it's like my act is fucking stupid.
No, I so
I like that. He just wants to be funny. All those other comedians in the Rogansphere lost that a long time ago. They lost sight of that, and now they're just trying. Andrew Schultz, he's trying to make his escape to movies. I said that the other day, but I really believe Andrew Schultz is trying to go out the back door. I don't know if Andrew Schultz will still be a comedian in the next couple of years. Tom Segura, boom, gone too. So they're all lying to us, right? But I think they're all trying to make their escape, and I appreciate that Stavros isn't, because he's had his eye on the prize, and that's doing what he loves, and what he loves is being funny. And really, at the end of the day, if you really want to be successful, and you could see it with Rogan's decline in success from where he was, right? If you really want to be successful, you have to keep your eyes on the things you love, and all this other stuff not a distraction. And it's not like bad influences. They say that about video games. They say that about all kinds of passions, but it's not. If they're doing what they love, who cares? Point is it's not even about, you're doing something society deems wrong. It's about, you only have so much time. It's just the math. If you only dedicate a limited amount of time to a lot of things, it's going to have limited success. And if you still don't believe me, look at the career of Brendan Schaub. Look at the career of Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura. As far as comedy, all just blue, blue, blue. Look at Andrew Schaub. Flagrant is getting less and less views. Everybody, I think, there's being cocky, there's being a little bit sarcastic, but you got to understand there's limit to that. And Andrew has crossed over because he's just been relying on arrogance and just being a liar for too long, that he is now an official asshole. I don't put people in that category fast enough, because I understand people are different. But for me, Andrew has crossed into the realm of asshole. He is just probably one of the most blatant examples of selfishness, lying, selling out his fan base, selling out his friends, selling out his beliefs, his own values, who the fuck he voted for, right? And I understand you can change, but Andrew don't change based on moral conundrums or, experience of going through something. Andrew changes for the highest bidder. And it's great that Akash called out his lies and Akash's lies. I just thought that was totally stupid. Anyways, go watch the video if you want to see that. And here we are. On to the next point, because I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, I mean, on the Caleb Heron episode, you talked about how you were shocked and just sort of disappointed that Rogan endorsed Trump, let alone have him on a podcast. Can you walk me through those feelings? And also, you endorsed Mondani in the New York City election. Can you talk about how they're similar or different, just sort of how you felt about all of these things?
Sure. Well, I guess to me, what surprised me about a lot of, about Joe, about, whoever endorsed Joe in particular, because I do think we align on a lot. That's the thing about it. I don't think he's this far right guy. I mean, he was a Bernie guy. I think and I think it's not even that I was disappointed in him. It was just shocking, because he is kind of an avatar for a regular dude. Because a lot of people do swing wildly. They just like certain policies. He liked Bernie, he liked Trump. And I think there's a lot more people in America that are like that, right? And to me, it was more whoa, what the fuck? How did this happen? How did the sort of Democrats allow this kind of thing? Because listen, I would have understood, and this was my perspective on the election. I get being I fucking hate both these candidates, right? That was my position. That was and I got not liking Kamala Harris, but I did not in any way, shape, or form understand being a free speech guy and then being Trump's my guy. That was really at the crux of it. Is and it's worse than even I thought. Obviously, like with these fucking ICE pieces of shit with like masked, take no due process in America, and like that's your freedom of speech guy. But it was like he was suing journalists he didn't like, and it's like I just thought it was a simplistic view of freedom of speech. That's like essentially we should be able to say slurs, and like they're not that worth it.
Yeah,
take them back. Take them back, bro.
That's a good point. There's some people that, especially in my world, that want to say like the N word. And it's just like, why? Like, what do you get out of it? Who cares? Who cares? Like, leave it alone. I just get it. There's just some people that'll die on that hill. It's freedom of speech. But who cares? It's not even about saying the word. It's that word just causes so much trouble and is just automatically offensive to a certain amount of people that you are trying to apply that word to. Like, what are you doing? And then also saying that word around whoever that applies to people, right? That you're trying to apply that to, that can endanger your safety. Have you not seen the TikTok clips of people? Bloop, bloop. It's just like it's common. It goes back to math, not even math. It goes back to just common fucking sense. If something is a problem, if something is dead weight, if something is unnecessary, if something has the ability to agitate, fuck up, stress, emotionally drain you, etc. You got to think of it like AI and just useless. Just let it go. And that's why I don't get people die on this. It's just there's no value. There's no value in you doing it. Why? Why do you think it? And the thing is, they think they're so cool. It's like, all right, go see if that makes people think you're cool. Go see the people that you're trying to put down. Go say it. See if they think you're cool. But then again, those guys never would because they're cowards to begin with. And I think it's just usually cowardly people that try to pull that shit off.
Bro, you don't need to say them. Like, I would like due process and no slurs. You know what I mean? Like, I would like due process and bleeping out a couple fucking words. And that was really the crux of it. It was like, I got being not liking either candidate because I do think the Democratic Party does not offer fucking anything right now. I think you see it with Mamdani where it's like clearly people want, they are drawn to someone who's just like, I want to make the working class's life better. I want to redistribute wealth in certain ways to help, people who take the bus, to help, mothers have daycare, all this kind of shit. That's the stuff people care about. And then you see Democratic leadership. On one hand, they're pretty silent on, ICE in particular to me is like, it's fucking insane that they're allowed to behave this way and that there aren't even symbolic gestures from Democratic leadership. And then on the other hand, not only are they not providing any stiff opposition to it, but when you have a candidate like Mamdani who represents something that is exciting to a lot of young people who's like, oh, how do we get people excited after running the stodgiest, most bullshit,
See, this is where I say, when he's talking about the Rogansphere, right? And how could they be attracted to Trump? But I mean, they see him. I have to say, you got to be fair. It's the same view that they're giving you about Mamdani. There's a bias there, right? Stavros addresses, right, the Rogansphere, but he obviously can't see it himself. I'm always like, you can be a certain way, just admit to it. Just admit to it. Because that's the same thing. The Mamdani, Trump, they both stand out. They seem to be on the fringes of their party. They're leading this big campaign that people want, right? They seem to have the answers. Let me tell you a little story about politics, folks. they're not going to do shit for you. You know why they're saying all that shit to you during their campaign? It's because Stavros said it. He's saying stuff that people care about. Yeah, that's what they do. They make you think they care. And then they fuck you. And if I am wrong, let's talk about it after this election. Give it some time, like a year, maybe 2. See how much he changed. But you know what? If politics is your thing, do you, baby. Go for it.
Consultant-driven campaigns possible. This is a guy who's fucking 35, whatever, how old he is, and who just like has excited people. They don't want that because they're also bought and paid for. You know what I mean? And so this is what I mean where I have to be a little more, this is about as explicit as I'll get.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to show like in an election where, look, if I could have helped out at all, and I don't think they needed me. He's just fucking, the campaign is really well run.
Yeah.
But that's where I'll be like, hey, if I think I can make a difference in any way, even if it helps this much, I'll help candidates I believe in or causes I believe in or fundraise for things I believe in.
Okay, I got to talk about Stavros. He basically is talking about, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, guys, maybe I smoked too much. It's a Saturday. Aren't Saturdays for smoking, right? Or no? No. Or, anyways. This is where I get a little confused with Stavros, right? And I got to keep it real. You know, I think Stavros is great, doing good things with the Rogansphere call. But he basically called him out for helping a political campaign, and then he's saying, in the future, I will help out political people if it's something I believe in. Am I wrong? You can let me know in the comments. But that's what I heard. Which isn't that the same thing? This is why you don't go on podcasts or do interviews at all, right? You're in someone else's word. They can catch you. And I think maybe I'm wrong, you know, and I am often wrong. But I think he's contradicting himself here just a little bit. I could be wrong, but he's basically saying he would do what Rogan did by supporting. See? Being man of the people's hard. He's already making early game bad decisions. Or at least he's saying things that don't sound very great for people.
But, you know, I'm not going to have like, you know, the politics hour every week on my podcast.
I saw you.
See, okay, so I think I am right on this. His dividing line is, hey, I will help promote a candidate. I'll only do a little bit. If I believe in you, I'll use my platform to support you. But I won't have politics hour on my podcast. Yet. If that's the route you go, yet. Because you know what? As soon as you start supporting a campaign, you're going to talk about it on your podcast and talk about how you support them. So do you see where that goes? Do you see where that goes? Here's the only way to do politics, right? Here's the only way to do politics that people are cool with. And I honestly think there are some people that could do it. If you want to do politics, don't get involved in arguing about the politics. Just completely stay out of it and play political clips and view it like an ESPN sports commentator or like a sports analyst commentator. And you just do the play-by-play. But that is where journalism is supposed to do anyways, right? But they don't. So is there a good way to do politics? I could do it because I've had enough. I don't believe in none of it. And I could just sit there and be like, yep, he fucked up right there. Yep. I could do that, I think. I really, honestly, I just look at it kind of objectively. for the most part. Some stuff is just like, fuck, you know, when you see what they're doing. But most of it, I think that's how they get you, is they get you so emotionally involved. And I can't view it. And especially once you just know it's all horseshit anyways. It's just powerful men putting up a charade so that they can get rich and more powerful. You know? There's really no point investing in it anymore.
You on Blair Saki's show for her birthday she had.
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
And she said something effective like, what does it feel like to be the last line of defense in the world of bro podcasting? And you said, everyone has idiot friends. It's just that my idiot friends have millions of listeners.
Yeah.
I love that. Another mentioning about how dumb the Rogansphere is. It's always good. You know, if I was going to make a trailer for this video, idiot friends are back.
Which is
Wow, I
different
didn't realize the show was on the record, Jesse. I was speaking freely.
But that's wild. Like,
Yeah. No,
because
that's
we
what
do
it
have
is.
idiot friends, and
Yeah.
you decide, oh, does their idiotness harm the world? And you decide whatever. But like,
And by the way, I am also an idiot.
sure, yes. But
Me and my idiot friends have millions of listeners, and
You see that? That's a good way. That's a good way to keep it chill with your idiot friends. Whenever you're so, I am too. And I think we all are. But I think they're in a league of their own. You know what I mean?
that's fucked up.
Yes.
We really should just be dumbass comics who have specials, but that's about it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? We can't just not solidify, but like you can't calcify
Yeah.
and just we're on opposite sides, because we're not. I really, truly, in my heart, think it's not. You're falling for it if you cut off your friends who don't share these same beliefs with you. What they want is to divide you and your friends, to destroy communities along these fake like culture war lines, which ultimately these are not. I don't think these are hateful people. I think, especially when you talk about entertainment industry,
Just
I think you
greedy.
get swept up in a lot of stuff, and you, especially depending on how into your career you are, you want to walk a specific line. And I think I do think it's important to just be friends with people that have completely different thought processes as you.
To that point, I was curious. Like, I think there are people on the internet that are not as familiar with this world.
Uh-oh. Stavros is going to... I believe Stavros is going to tell us what he thinks of the people enjoying the Comedy Warz. That's you and me. Uh-oh. No. I just have a feeling this is not going to be good. But just part of the job.
Who lump everyone together, and like you're on tires with Shane and Andrew Schultz. I was curious, what do you think people misunderstand about a lot of these guys?
I mean, it's just that you automatically think you understand these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think to some extent, not everybody, but it's just like you also have to understand that some of it is persona, some of it is, but I don't know. I just think they become avatars for what you already believe in, and you don't engage with them as people. I mean, Shane's one of the best guys of all time. Like he's just like a truly nice person who
I said that.
treats his friends well. I mean, he puts his friends on a fucking net. He gets a sitcom. You don't think famous people could have been on every one of those roles, but he took his friends with him. You know what I mean? That does mean something to me when he treats like just anyone really fucking nicely in a way that I've seen people that are not as famous fucking be real pieces of shit.
Andrew Schultz. McClosh. Anyways, I think that's true. I think that's a big thing about Shane. And I've said that. Even though people are just like, oh, quit dick riding Shane. Man, I ain't even that big of a Shane Gillis fan. And that's the thing. Is I've said this, that we don't know all the facts. We're just seeing basically what they post on the internet. So I'm taking them for their word on that specific thing. This is more like a game of Clue, or like making a history book. We're here to document the history, or to figure out all the things, to find Joe Rogan in the closet with a knife. Man, when was the last time you played Clue? Damn. That shit used to be everywhere when we were a kid, man. Everybody had a Clue board. That and Candyland. Do you remember Candyland? Dang, that crazy little loop-de-loop thing. Do kids even play board games? I just think it's like the board game people. I love going to the board game. I love board games. And there was a time in my life, I have to admit it, I'm going to admit it. There was a time in my life, at the time, I had every version of Catan. And we played Catan. Holy shit. We played it. All my friends, I had a dining room with a wooden table. It became the Catan den. And it was good, man. We played so much. Instead of going partying out, all the boys come back and we'd fucking have Catan wars, right? And then one day, it was about midday, maybe like a Sunday or Saturday, have a midday Catan game. And my friend was getting dumped on. He needed wheat. We were all plotting against him. You don't get no wheat. What about stone? Nobody ain't got no stone. We got so much stone. We got all the quarries. We're farming. Got him a little bit angry. 10 minutes down the road. Boom! Flips up the board, all the pieces. My special edition Catan is now on the floor. That was really the last time. Catan could ruin friendships. And it almost did. But then he did something else and that ruined it. But anyways, Catan is dangerous.
And I do think, like, some people just want to decide somebody is the dumbest thing they've ever said or put forward. And listen, you don't have to like anyone. That's the other beauty of all this shit. Is like, if you don't like someone, you don't have to listen to them necessarily. But I don't know what they.
I mean, he's tactful. He basically just called them dumb. They should stay in their lane. All of that stuff said Joe Rogan shocked him. He thought it was dumb. He basically called him, and now he's coming back around and saying, hey, you can like them. You could like who you like. I think it's a little, people are like this, though. He's trying to cover his bases now. But here's the thing. Just because someone says it, right, just like he doesn't take us Rogansphere and we're looking at them like a bad thing. I don't think so. This is an accumulation of bad things, and guess what? He recorded them himself when he said that, and then he posted it on the internets. So that's what we're taking. We're not going, oh, he's the worst version of himself. But then there are some insane things, like when Ari Shaffir exposed himself to a 5-year-old girl because their mom asked him to show, right? Have you seen that story? Anyways, it's in my videos. But shit like that, we're taking it. When Joey Diaz said he was coercing women to do favors, we're going to take it because he then said several things. He snuck into a girl's house and then went down on her. We're taking those things for face value. So I think this is him trying to cover his bases on this one. And good for him. That's why he's the guy that everybody likes. But for me, I'm not going, oh, he's bad because of this. I'm seeing a pattern. And there's official studies. Scientists have studied this and said that they don't like women and they're edgelords. And other words that start with an I. But YouTube doesn't like when I say that word. I don't know why. I don't know why. Strange. Anyways, that's why things like this. And plus, I also think he's saying this, but like everything he said before was basically calling them out. And he directly said how he felt. In the beginning, it was a little more on him, but referencing everybody else. And then in the second part, he talks about Rogan specifically. So let's just keep listening.
It is difficult because on a personal level, I really try to not live on the internet. Yeah. And these are my personal friends. And I do have really positive views of them. And maybe I'm being naive and sticking my head in the sand and not...
I think you're a little biased.
Sort of like thinking about and maybe I am going back to a time where I really think comedians shouldn't have pull, but they fucking do, and maybe I should just admit that to myself. But
Yep, you should.
other than like, I don't think these are not like destructive. These guys are not the problem. I don't think. You know what I mean? And they're funny and like as human beings, good guys, and that is important to me.
He said they were not funny in the beginning, and now he says it's funny again. So we're getting, let me know in the comments, right? Is he trying to lay it out and then backtrack? Because he's just a nice guy, man. And you got to give him, he's not trying to burn bridges. Sometimes when you have to say something important and it has to be said, sometimes you say it in the least threatening way. And a lot of us fucked that one up. So, props to him for doing it.
Just on a personal level. And I think to not go insane, that is sort of how I have to
Okay, now it
look
makes
at
sense.
things.
Yeah.
And again, there is, like I said, there's a
So
lot.
there is So obviously he is being a bit naive because it does drive you insane to care about that stuff. Like me, it doesn't. I come up here, I look up, I'll have some video clips, articles, that I want to watch. I look at it for a minute, find what I want to talk about, get that, do it. And then I don't think about it. So maybe I do the same thing. But he is in some denial. I think this is an admission that he is in some denial. And he has to be. He knows how crazy it is. Because they're playing with fire. They are playing with fire. Politics it chews everyone. Look at how presidents age so fast after the office, right? Look how fast they age. Look at how corrupt these people do. Look at the wars they cause. Politics does nobody any favors. And he knows that, but he also wants to keep the peace. But I don't see Rogan holds grudges. Just look at the Mark Maron thing. Rogan started that feud and he's carrying it on for over 20 years. Right? I just don't think at this point, unless you pay lip service to Rogan, anything else other than that, I think he's going to consider you a threat. He's on heightened alert. His career is he's hurting. He lost a lot. And people say, well, he's got more subscribers than you. Yeah. And you too. But if we're looking at the people in the industry, which is their job to do it, this isn't my job. And we can be critical of the entertainment industry. We can see that he's not doing as well as he was. He's on heightened alert. He is a coiled, tiny snake. He's like a baby snake. I don't think Rogan can grow enough to be a big snake. You know what I mean? But this is the thing. Everybody knows the baby rattlers, the rattlesnakes, they're the most poisonous. Because they don't know how to control their venom, and they're full of it. That's Joe Rogan. And he's going to put his venom out there. It's going to be interesting to see how Stavros, where he goes, after this couple weeks of speaking out and speaking critically of the Rogansphere. It'll be interesting to see. How it turns out.
Like if you're outwardly fucking, racist, whatever, bootlicking, whatever the fuck, I'm sure there's a line with everybody in their personal relationships, but I don't. These are just. That's the problem, is that people just put their own beliefs onto these guys, I think, and it's not saying you have to watch hours of their stuff, but
you're gonna be in.
I think that's just such a cop-out. It's such a cop-out. Put their own beliefs. I didn't believe anything until he said it. I'm believing what they say, what they promote, what their agenda has been showing us. You know what I mean? I'm looking at their stuff. This is what they said. And I think Stavros is trying to play both sides. I don't think he wants to upset the Rogansphere, even though I don't think he needs them. And I don't really see how the Rogansphere benefits him unless it's just like making money at the mothership. I think Stavros is at the point where he can continue to grow on his own, and he doesn't need that help. I think it's natural that Stavros is going to grow, and especially whether he likes it or not, he's going to adore the attention of the left, right? He just is. So I think Stavros is fine. Anyways, it's interesting. Stavros had a lot to say, a lot to learn from this Stavros clip. And if you'd like to watch more of it, the link is in the description. But please let me know your thoughts. Please let me know your thoughts. And if nothing else, let me know how you're liking the Rogansphere reality TV. Peace.